All right, so I'm gonna do the master railing full sweep, whatever you want to call it. I'm back in here. We don't have much of anything yet. Let me actually delete this. First thing I'm gonna do is make this column since it's an important part. I'm gonna go to component, model in place. Gonna make it a column. It's gonna be an extrusion, and I'm gonna set it on level 1. It's gonna be a circle. And coming from the intersection, it's going to have a 6-inch radius. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to drag this. All the way up to level 4 for now. It's not really steel, but I'm going to leave that for now. I've finished the model. So now from this same view, while I've got the drawing here, I'm going to go ahead and do the beams. I'm going to go into structure, beam. I'm going to come from this midpoint straight to the wall. We already figured this out in class. Negative offset of 3.75 inches. Apply. I'm going to come from the other side. And I'm going to come all the way down to the edge of the floor. And one more. This along the grid until I go to the middle of the wall. Hopefully they all keep that same offset value. And no, one of them did not. Negative 3.75 inches. Now those are all good. What we need is to create some model lines 1.25 inches over from where we made our stairs. So I'm gonna go back to this view, highlight my stairs reference plane. I'll click copy. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm coming perpendicular, 1.25 inches. All right, now I've got a new reference plane. Revit's freaking out on me. Perfect timing with a video. All right, so now I'm gonna highlight this and I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna call it railings. I'm gonna go back to my section 2. And I want to establish 42 inches above the stair where my vertical support's going to be. So I'm going to go architecture, model line. I'm going to select railings. I'm going to start here because I know that's where it's going to go. I'm going to stop at the top of the stairs. Save myself some math, and now I'm going to keep going and just type 42 inches. I'm going to do the same thing on the top step. I come from here to the top of the stair. Then I'm going to go up another 42 inches. Now I can bring that down here. Let me delete these because we're gonna make them again. So I've got this angle and I want to duplicate it for the other railings. So I'm gonna highlight this, I'm gonna click copy. I'm gonna stay along this vertical. That way it doesn't go wonky on me. And come down, I'm gonna try around 3 feet. Close. I want it a little further down. So I'm gonna highlight it again. I'm gonna move it and I'm gonna try just an inch. Almost. Highlight it, move. I'll go down half an inch. All right, so now I'm touching top of each step. I need 8 more copies. Again, I want to use this vertical so that they don't get offset. Just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I have a total of 10 model lines. I can use the line tool. Come in and grab each of these. And now I can make them all equal. I don't want to see this the whole time. I'm going to delete it. Really important, you click OK. Do not click unconstrain or all of your lines will go back to where you originally drew them. Perfect. So now from the top, since I'm already here, I go with another model line and I'm going to come horizontal. Now this is where you run into issues following the videos that are online, other than this one, because he goes diagonal all the way up. And so when you get to your top rail, your flat rail is no longer flat. It starts to twist. So if you establish it here while you're still above the steps, that won't happen to you. All right, so I've got those two. I'm going to come down. Well, first I'll copy the levels. Grab this level, hit copy. Gonna come up to the here and here. I'm gonna rename them. And we're gonna call this second floor flat. And they're gonna call this one second floor round. All right, we're gonna do the same thing down here. Difference is we don't go over quite yet. We have to drag this down to the edge of the stair. So I'm gonna, rather than grab this and drag it, I'm gonna draw a smaller line and that'll make mirroring it to the other side easier. So I just want to make sure I'm at the same angle. And I come here. All right, now I'm going to come up and it'll show me a dashed line as long as I'm vertical. And now I can draw another connection there. Now these are where we convert to a horizontal line. And this will establish what we need down here. And I can delete this now. You can hide it later. It doesn't really serve any purpose at this point. So I'll highlight my level. I'm going to copy it. Come up to here and here. And I'm going to rename these. So this one is first floor round. And this one is first floor flat. All right. I've got a column. I've got my beams. I've got most of what I need here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to complete this loop around here. I'm going to do it all for the lower railing first. And then I'm going to copy all those lines to the top railing. We don't need to redraw the 8 in between. Those are all going to be fine. So from up here, I need to go to architecture, model line. I need to make sure to set my plane to first floor round, because that's what I'm working on. I want to come from the very center, which happens to be our grid line here. I want to make sure I'm perpendicular until I touch that line we made. Now I can switch over to center ends arc. Go from the end to the end and start drawing around. As soon as you see that dashed line, that's where you need to stop and click. And now I'm going to come back to the center. I'm going to come over to where I just finished and keep drawing until I see this dashed line. All right. Now, oh, I should have kept. Let me make sure, yeah, we're still on first floor round. Now I can draw a line that comes to the edge of the floor. But I want to make sure that I'm perpendicular. Now I can draw to here and to the edge of these stairs. I come into my 3D crop. Oh, that's what I was doing that from. Strange. I meant to do that from I'm gonna go to my 3D. And you can see, got these lines. Where'd this one go? Strange. I'll finish that in just a second. First thing I want to do though is delete this. And now I'm going to use the trim tool to clean up this line to here. Not cooperating. Try a better view. Okay. Sometimes Revit's strange. And I'm going to go back into level 2 stairs crop. I'm going to do another model line. And I'm going to make sure I'm on first floor round. I'm just going to come from this endpoint. No, wrong one. Until I get to this corner. All right, now it's actually there. I need to make this diagonal. Easiest way to do that, orient to a plane, pick a plane. Now I'm going to pick that face. Now I'm going to repeat the same process. I got to pick the exact same plane I was just on. And now I can draw a diagonal line that goes from tip to tip. And I can just move that up. All right, so let's see how that looks. I'm going to switch to hidden line. It'll be, or sorry, change the transparency of this one. Make it easier to see. And now you can see this is connected, this is connected. I think we're pretty good on the first floor. Now we need to do the second floor, so I'm gonna go back to level 2 stair crop. And I'm gonna draw more model lines. But this time I'm gonna change it from first floor around to second floor around. I'm just gonna pick the lines. And pick the edge of the floor. The edge of the floor. And I'm gonna use trim. I'm gonna take this edge and bring it towards the flat bit. Actually, no. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna draw a line that goes along here. Now I'm gonna use the trim tool. It will be a little cleaner. So if I come into my 3D stairs crop, you can see. Now I've got that closed. I can repeat the process, and now that I have these, I can just change my reference plane and it will copy those lines to the top. So again, from here, I'm going to say architecture model line. I'm going to start with first floor flat. I'm going to pick line, pick the round one, pick here. Need to hit tab so that I'm actually just grabbing the short bit. Same thing here. I need to click tab so that I'm only getting that shorter segment. From the 3D view, I've got to come here and I've got to copy that out. Orient to a plane again. Copy it and just come straight up. All right. I'm gonna clean this up a little. Use the trim tool. Same process on the upper floor. Gonna go back to architecture, model line. Now I'm gonna make it second floor flat. I'm gonna pick lines. I'm gonna pick this, use tab to make sure I'm only doing the short one. There. There. And now from the 3D view, I should already be connected, but just in case. All right. Now the moment of truth. I'm gonna make a railing that's a sweep. So I'm gonna go to architecture, component, model in place, rail. It's gonna be a sweep. I'm gonna pick the path. I'm gonna start down here. And there's a lot of geometry, so make sure you're grabbing the correct ones. One more. Now I'll know if I have all my connections. Brilliant. It did not give me any error messages. I'm going to come into edit profile. I'm going to pick a circle. I'm going to come all the way down and make it 0.25 inches. Click and change the material to steel. All right. Now this one can be copied multiple times, and it, even though we've only drawn the full length once, it's still gonna work. But before I do that, I'm gonna make the flat rail, and then I'm gonna show you how to mirror to the other side. So again, architecture, component, model in place, railings. Click OK. It's going to be another sweep. And I'm going to pick the path. I'm going to go ahead and do this one, even though it might be a little messy, just to make sure I have the correct orientation. Again, I flattened it out here, and that's going to keep me from not being flat. Because Revit will rotate, and all of a sudden your flat top is at an angle. This is getting funky. Think that's all of it. It's easiest to move this around when you're zoomed out. I'm going to click OK. All right, it was happy. Going to edit the profile. And this line is already at the top of the railing. So I want to come down. And it's drawn 1.25 inches outside of the stairs. So I'm going to come down and in. I'm just going to pick any size to start. I'm going to call this 1.25 inches. And I'm going to make that 0.5. Click OK. Click OK. It should still be steel. Excellent. Finish the model. So I like to have this done before I draw my verticals. That way I can match the angle. But before I even do that, I'm going to copy all these model lines. Well, I'm going to mirror them to the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this category for a minute. I'll unhide it. Well, that would have been easier in a different view. So I'm going to go to my section 2. And I want to make sure I'm getting my model lines. So I'm going to hide category. I want to pick, I don't want this little extension that came out. I just want the original ones I drew. If I hold control, it'll let me grab each one. Now, if I come up here to level 2 stair crop, I can use mirror pick axis because I already have midpoint. Now you can see I got all these cool lines over here. It's easiest to draw a new section cut so that you're not trying to figure out like which one am I on. So I'm going to come back in here. Make one more section. It's going to be perpendicular to my grid. Now I got a section 5. Now I can see all this geometry. Time for a couple more model lines. It is going to be, I'm going to pick a line and use where it was sketched. I'm going to pick this line. Make sure I'm on straight. Then I'm just gonna come out. Same thing here. Pick a line, come out. Let's go to my 3D. Hopefully those are visible. Well, one is, not the other. All right, so I'm gonna go back to section 5. Let's check the 3D. Now they're both there. Same process over here. We're gonna use pick lines. And then we're gonna connect them. So I'm gonna start with model line on second floor round. I'm gonna use pick line. I'm gonna pick this edge. I'm just gonna draw a short one along here and use the trim function. Now if I go to my 3D, I still need to trim it a little, but that's okay. All right, so that one's done. I'm gonna do the same thing from up here. I'm gonna say architecture, model line. This time it's second floor flat. I'm gonna pick lines. All right. So I did tab there to get the right view I wanted. Now those are closed. So I've got my originals. I've mirrored them over. And the bottom and the top are each ready for another sweep. So I'm going to go into component, model in place, railings. Okay, it's going to be a sweep. Pick the path. And I'm going to go ahead and just pick this top rail to start. Say okay. And now this time we're coming towards the stairs because we've mirrored it 1.25 inches away. I'm gonna say edit profile, make it a rectangle. And I'm gonna come this way because we're already at the top of our handrail. So this is gonna be 0.5 inches. And this is gonna be 1.25. Okay. Okay, it's still steel. Finish. So I got my flat railing. It stays flat the whole time because I leveled it out here. Once more for the round one, and then it's copy time. Architecture, component, model in place, railing. Another sweep. All right, I'm good there. Gonna edit the profile. And I'm gonna make it, oh, no, it needs to be round. 0.25 inches. Almost done. So from section 2, I'm going to unhide my railing category. Now, this is the important part on these. When you highlight it and copy, use your intersection between your model lines and your vertical. And that will keep everything in place. All right, so that is 1/2. Go to my 3D view, make sure it looks good. Cool. Now I've got to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go to my other section cut. Don't really have a vertical line right now. Let's see if that'll work out anyway. So copy. And I'm just going to come from the endpoint, which was a model line. Yeah. You have to be a little more careful in selecting your origin. If you want to, you can always draw another vertical line. All right, I'm gonna go to my 3D view. I have both sets. Fantastic. Now I need to do my vertical uprights. Gonna come back to section 2 for that. And I'm gonna start. I'll start up here because I know this next to last one has it. Then you skip 2, then there's 1, then you skip 2, then there's 1. So I'm gonna go architecture, component, model in place. And it's gonna be a railing. I'm gonna call it support this time. Okay, it's another extrusion, and it doesn't really matter if you're on railings or stairs. I'm gonna start by just coming below this little line here is where the wedge starts. So I'm gonna just come from above, make sure I go below. Doesn't really matter how much because we didn't measure it. And then I'm gonna come over 1/4 inch. I'm gonna come up and use the profile on the top of my railing. So there's my flat. I'm gonna follow that angle. Now I'm gonna go to trim. I'm gonna trim this little guy. This. So now I have my profile. And click OK. And go to the above view. And since I have 2 reference planes, now I can wedge it in between the 2 and it's the correct dimension. I am going to copy this a bunch, so I'm going to edit the work plane and disassociate it. It's already steel, so I can finish up the model. All right, this is the point where if I wanted to add the bolts in, I could do that. I'm not going to show that again since it's already in the other video. This is where I would come in, click copy. I would come, it's probably easiest to come from a thing that's not going to change. I'm going to come from that endpoint. Again, I'm skipping 2. And I'm coming in here. Skipping 2. 2. As long as I've made my stairs all properly, this is all going to line up. If I don't have my rise and run consistent, I'll have some adjustments to make. Won't be the end of the world. Yeah, like this one goes up into my railing a little bit. So I could either drag it down or I could just leave it. All right, now that I have all those, I want to highlight each one. Again, if you're gonna do the bolts, do that now and mirror them all at once. All right, got them all selected. I'm gonna come back up here. Gonna do mirror pick axis. Oh, now my section cut is hiding my visibility. All right, let me do that again. They're all highlighted. And come up here, mirror pick axis. Now they're all on the other side. The other ones are a little more tedious, like I showed in class. You have to orient to a plane. I'll just show one up here, but you'll have to repeat it down here, here, here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 5 different that you'll have to orient to and then copy. So from the 3D view, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to something a little more opaque. I'm gonna right click here, orient to a plane, pick a plane, then I'm gonna pick this railing. I want to get nice and close to this corner. I'm going to do a component model in place. Going to be another support. An extrusion. And then I'm going to pick that exact same plane that I just chose. If it's not showing up for you, you just hit tab. There we go. Then I'm going to come down to the floor, making sure I'm straight, vertical and nearest. And now I'm going to come over 1/4 inch. Up, over. I click OK. It's steel already. I'm gonna disassociate it from the work plane. I'm gonna go to my top view. This part's a little wonky because you're seeing a lot of different things. Especially this first line is actually part of that round element. So it's this middle line that's the other side of your top railing. Finish that. There we go. Now I can copy that 9 times, moving it 3 feet each time, and that'll give me a gap here. If I want to do this side, same process. I mean, you could try copying it over and rotating it, but to me, it's easier just to do it this way. All right, I hope that helped somebody out there.